It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And Tim, as is our wont, we always have to, I'm like, hey, Bruce, squirrel. I'm always looking at whatever distraction there is, and there's always a distraction right behind you. For those of you watching at home. For those of you not watching at home, let me do my Pat Hughes impersonation because he just got named to the Baseball Hall of Fame, a Ford C. Frick winner. Right in the center of your screen there, behind Tim Slagle, is a ballot drop box, which looks like he's trying to make some sort of political statement. Aren't you, in fact, Tim Slagle?
It is, in fact, a Fulton County ballot drop box. And I imagine there's still Warnock votes in there that haven't been removed yet.
Well, they don't need to be anymore.
No. As soon as they got them, they stop counting. They always, as soon as the Democrats win, they stop counting, even if it takes 2-3 weeks.
Now, of course, the Warnock is. I heard that he was complaining about voter suppression, even though this was a record turnout. But I don't know why.
I think he was talking about Arizona in Maricopa County.
There we go. So we'll get back to that a little bit later in our next segment when we talk about Herschel Walker and who was accused more of wife beating, Herschel Walker or Raphael Warnock. I say it was guns were drawn in both of them, or Walker.
I thought one was beating and the other was abandonment.
Well, Walker was accused of pulling a gun on his wife, but Warnock, I think, was accused of running over his wife.
Oh, that's not mistaken. That's right.
It's hard to keep it straight without a scorecard. But anyway,
they were both accused of eviction.
Oh, okay.
One from an apartment he owned, the other one from a mistress's womb.
Yeah. Right. So that's a wash right there. But anyway, we'll get to that. So, I mean, the big story is this Twitter files thing, and thank goodness for Elon Musk. I mean, I'm certain that I don't agree with a lot of things, that he stands for, including the colonization of my home planet, Mars. Stay away. But he's doing a great public service because I'll tell you, I don't want to say this, but he's really revealing that there's a deep state. I can't believe I said that. Give me your tinfoil hat. But yeah. I mean, there's always a guy named Jim Baker. There were shadowy Jim Bakers in the Bush administration. There was a James Baker who served in 3 presidential administrations. I believe Tammy Faye's husband was James Baker. And now we've got a Jim Baker who was the counsel for the FBI. Somehow he winds up as the Twitter counsel, and he's the one deciding on whether Hunter Biden's laptop story should ever make its way onto Twitter, which seems like some sort of conflict of interest to be there.
Now, are you sure those are all different Jim Bakers?
I don't know that they are. One was cloned. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, even Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, didn't even know about all this stuff. And I mean, it just reeks. We already were suspicious of the FBI because of its involvement in Russiagate, and I'm not talking about tinfoil hat types like you, Tim. I'm talking about like straight-laced conservatives like Andy McCarthy of National Review, and a lot of people who just believe that there's a Eli Lake, just people that just believe that the FBI has a conflict of interest there with its domestic chores and then mixing up counterintelligence as well. And nefarious things can happen as a result of that. And there needs to be reform. But this just adds, another layer to this, because you've got this guy who is deciding that there shouldn't be the Hunter Biden laptop story should never see the light of day. And, you hear the liberal press saying, well, we would have had to corroborate that independently. We can never go by what the New York Post says. Oh, sure. Like they never quote each other. They never go with a big story like that.
Yeah. They never rush to judgment, Nick Sandman or.
Yeah, right. Well, I just, I mean, I can reasonably see how somebody might go from that position to saying, well, there's ballot stuffing there and into election denying. Because if you can't believe in the FBI, I mean, Efren Zimbalist Jr. for crying out loud, if you can't believe in that anymore, then 51, what can you believe
51 intelligence, quote unquote, experts signed off on that, and I hope the next Congress bring subpoenas every single one of them.
And, I mean, look, they're not going to be enacting any legislation, thank goodness, because we like inertia. We like gridlock to the extent that we can foment it.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what our great republic is all about. So, well, I mean, these guys, I mean, we know what they did. I mean, they just said it looks like a hack and leak operation. It looks like Russian disinformation, when in fact, of course, it's a legitimate story. Of course, you can always say it looks like that, and you can hide behind that. And
before the modern era, they would call what would be the October surprise,
right,
and which was kind of an accepted thing in politics, so much that it got a name,
right.
And that's what this was. They had it like from August, and they're like, no, let's drop it 3 days before the election.
Well, the FBI knew about Hunter Biden's laptop apparently like a year before, and wasn't going to do anything about it. The New York Post got the story, and then of course, the media and the Democratic operation went into high gear and made sure that the story was diminished as much as possible. And it's a totally legitimate story. I mean, we don't know the ultimate truth, but it certainly was legitimate to ask about Joe Biden's connections and how much, was he getting, was there a quid pro quo? Because certainly, we were talking about Trump getting one, and why couldn't we talk about Biden getting one as well? I mean, it was a legit story. Elon Musk is cleaning that up. He got rid of Baker, who didn't give a satisfactory answer to, what this was all about. And,
yeah, that's what Elon Musk said. He said somebody said, well, was Baker questioned? And he said, yeah, yes. And his response was unsatisfactory.
Right.
I thought that was just a great Elon Musk understatement.
Yeah, no, I mean, give the guy some credit there.
You can almost picture Baker there with a handkerchief mopping the sweat off of his brow.
Yeah. I mean, when you spend $40 billion on an enterprise, you're entitled to clean it up. So this leads us inexorably to Donald Trump wanting to terminate the Constitution. Look, I think the really smart thing, if you ever are around a water cooler, and who is these days because we all work out of our houses, but if you ever were around
and the water coolers are shut down because of COVID.
So. Oh, there you go. But if you ever were around one with your mask on, I think, it's a great thing if you could say, look, I don't believe the election was stolen, but I think the FBI is totally corrupt. And then, the other person's going to say, oh, geez, I mean, you're not a total crazy here, so maybe I'll have to listen to you about the FBI. But Trump did say that he didn't tweet it. This was on Truth Social. He said because
he truthed it. I guess because that's how you would call that. It's not a tweet. Right, it's a truth.
Because of the election being stolen. It required the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. And of course, within a couple of days, he was saying that the fake news is actually trying to convince the American people that I said I wanted to terminate the Constitution. Well, I mean, that's what he said.
No, let's pretend this was Joe Biden who said this. Okay. I mean, there would be scores of people going to the media saying, well, we know that's what he said. What he meant was...
Are you saying that they both should have that same press information officer, White House spokesbeing, who will assemble.
Karine Jean-Pierre should be saying,
could,
well, that's I don't believe that's what the president actually meant when he said that.
When he said that the Constitution should be terminated, he did not mean that the Constitution should be terminated. No, I totally understand that.
Basically what he was saying, and I'll do it. I'll be Karine Jean-Pierre here.
Please take me through the looking glass right now. Yes. Okay.
Okay. He was saying that there's no article in the Constitution. There's no mechanism for a do-over, and that when it's a fraudulent election, it does require a do-over. I mean, we had a do-over in Illinois, right? Wasn't there a do-over once? How was that worked?
Which election was that? Adlai Stevenson or something? Or
no, it wasn't that far back. It was it was in the 80s. They found out that the election was fraudulent, and then they did a do-over about midway through.
Why am I drawing a blank on this one? Was it a governor who wound up going to jail?
The odds are pretty good that it was.
Call in now. We don't have a phone number, but tell us what election that was.
But there was they found that there was fraud, that there was ballot harvesting enough to swing the election, and it was I can't.
Oh, okay. Well, we know that Al Franken got his first election was through. Al
Franken,
fraud. But
there were more.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I mean, the problem is, and by the way, nice try, Kieran, or whatever your name is. Very good try on that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to sake that one. I'll circle back to you.
Circle back on that
I'll
one.
Look up the.
No problem. No problem on that one. Ari Fleischer, go. Give us another one a little bit later. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
Now make a projection in the final Senate election of the 2022 midterm election. CNN projects the Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock will win re-election in the Georgia Senate runoff, defeating Republican challenger Herschel Walker. Warnock, who joined the Senate after a special election victory 2 years ago, is now poised to serve his first full 6-year term. Again, CNN is projecting Senator Raphael Warnock will be re-elected in the state of Georgia.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. So Tim, I'm watching Fox News' coverage last night, and just for a second, I couldn't help myself. And they had a graphic with 72% of the vote in, and the headline on the graphic on the bottom of the screen was "Walker pulls ahead." And indeed, with 72% of the vote, he had like a couple hundred vote lead. Now, like within a minute and a half, 75% was in, and Warnock had taken the lead, and the headline was Warnock and Walker in tight race. So it's just like they didn't want to say Warnock had pulled ahead. I
didn't tune in until 92% was in.
Yeah,
it was right before it was called, and there was only like a 1 point difference.
Yeah, but then it turned out to be it's almost like 3. That we could go into
at that point they were still, the printing machines were still running.
Yeah, of course.
The ink wasn't dried.
So who do we blame this on? Laura Ingraham, of course, wants to blame Mitch McConnell, even though McConnell threw $18 million at this. Trump anointed Walker. He said he was unstoppable. I think Trump within the next couple of days is going to say that Melania is at fault again. She was attracted to him or something like that.
Sure. Can you blame her? He's a good
no,
guy.
Not at all. Now, and this does make a little bit of a difference because with 51 seats as opposed to the 50-50 tie, the committees are now in the Democrats' favor, and they're going to get judicial confirmations that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten. And so this is going to probably balance things off. For the reason, like, for example, that I supported Trump in the first place was I wanted Mitch McConnell to ram through judicial confirmations, and he did. We got 3 Supreme Court justices. So
that was the only thing that I can say that McConnell did that
to me is a lot. So there's I don't understand Georgia. I mean, it's just hard to believe that this turned in the last several weeks because of Herschel Walker's son and all the accusations against Walker. I mean, Warnock is a horrible candidate. he's he's anti-Semitic. He's praised Louis Farrakhan. He's committed.
Well, at least he's not
blood libel.
At least he's not half brain dead like like Fetterman. I mean, good gosh. Yeah. I can't believe people are electing these.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I mean, well, the problem is, I mean, you can't go the smart route because Herschel Walker isn't that bright either. But yeah, it's another one that we blew. And I don't see that there's any answer to this because it seems like we could go right into 2024 where Trump's got that 25% or whatever, and it's going to get him these primaries, and then we're going to lose in the general again. And with talking about somebody who isn't even there anymore, Joe Biden will be the president for yet another term.
So you're blaming Trump for this loss? Is that what I'm getting here?
I think it's not that difficult to blame Trump for many losses. Almost all the people that he endorsed turned out to be losers. And it's because the general electorate is not going to take these guys. But of course, you blame Mitch McConnell for this, right?
Yeah,
you blame Herschel Walker.
No, I don't blame Mitch McConnell. I think that I think that Georgia's still operating under the same suspicious election activity that was going on in 2020.
See, here's the thing. I mean, so I don't even know how to answer that other than to say that that's why you're sitting in front of that official ballot drop box right now. I mean, you're just.
I'm watching it. I'm staking my place for 2024.
You're just the flip side of Stacey Abrams, who thinks there's voter suppression. Look,
sure.
This will bring us back to what we were talking about in the first segment, which was the corruption in Illinois. And I actually was right, apparently, when I said it was the Adlai Stevenson election, not Adlai Stevenson, who actually was the governor of the state of Illinois back in the before he ran against Eisenhower,
in the 40s. Yeah, I had no idea there was two Adlai Stevensons.
Yeah, the Adlai Stevenson. I forgot which Roman numeral was after his name. There's a story. I think Mark Stein mentioned this. Was it about Adlai Stevenson? I think it was that, he was considered an intellectual. He made all the liberal women get the vapors because he was an intellectual. Mm-hmm. But when he died, all they found was a copy of the Social Register next to his bed. There were no books. He didn't read anything.
You don't have to be smart if you can just convince people that I'm hoping
that was Adlai Stevenson they were talking about and not Alger Hiss. Boy, I'm really conflating a lot of people right now. Alger Hiss.
I'm always reminded of the Wizard of Oz. They couldn't give the scarecrow brains, so they gave him a degree.
There we go. Right. We're a credentialed society. Anyway, meantime, Rich Lowry had a good piece in National Review, and I know National Review's anti-Trump, and they're saying no to him, but they're already recognizing that there is a Ron DeSantis derangement syndrome right now.
Sure,
as Lowry says, in a bygone era, George W. Bush got this treatment, and he was considered a semi-fascist throughout his presidency, despite being an advocate of democracy, literally to a fault, in these Middle Eastern countries. The hostile focus on DeSantis is now reaching back into his teens and 20s. The New Yorker found someone from his Yale baseball team who said he has always loved embarrassing and humiliating people. I'm speaking for others. He was the biggest D we knew. And D. The thing is that
a DB or just a D?
It's a D blank blank blank.
Okay.
And we don't have to play Wheel of Fortune right here. The no, They always do it. They did it to Mitt Romney. He was a bully, supposedly in high school.
Remember, he cut someone's hair. He
gave
someone a haircut.
So they're always going to find things. Whoever the Republican candidate is going to be demonized. And so now they're trying to do that to DeSantis. And it is evidence, of course, that they take him as a serious threat, which he is. So, I don't blame them for starting to libel him.
That's why I'm a borderline Trump supporter, because he knows how to handle that. He could stand up to the media unlike anyone. And I think
DeSantis is doing a pretty good job. I mean, he is evidenced by how he handled the pandemic. I mean, you have all of the opinion, the public opinion, handled by the liberal media is, well, first of all, we shouldn't have been anti-Chinese, and we shouldn't have even recognized there was a virus. Okay, I get that. But then when they flipped and they said, oh, no, we need all these draconian measures to protect ourselves, and Florida is going to hell, he withstood all that. And he was reasonable. So what's this story there flashing on the screen here? Florida Governor Ron DeSantis reaches disgraceful new low in bullying Special Olympics.
There you go.
I think I remember. All I remember about the Special Olympics is when Barack Obama, I think it was on the Tonight Show, and he said that his bowling was so bad he was like a Special Olympian. I think he had to apologize for that. I don't know. My mind is selective. I have selective outrage here. I don't remember what DeSantis did, but I'm sure it was horrible. You got to be careful these days. I'm thinking, for example, they should get a photograph of DeSantis looking at that photograph. Remember, we showed it last week of Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys owner, standing in the background in Little Rock in 1957, where
looking like he was trying to get back to math class. He
didn't, but he's convicted of racism because he was standing in like the fifth row there. I think you could get DeSantis for having looked at that picture and rolling his eyes up in his head.
Producer Chris is saying that he voted to cut funding for Special Olympics.
Oh, right. Okay.
That is a crime. Basically, he said, there should only be one trophy. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Enough with this participation stuff. Yeah. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and everything. He's a tough guy, that Ron DeSantis. No, I like it when they attack somebody like that, because it shows that, I mean, that he has cachet, and I'm looking forward to voting for him. But although I always vote for the losers, I voted
I think it was Rush Limbaugh that said, if you want to know who the best candidate is, look for the one that Democrats attack the most.
Yeah, and they've got it for DeSantis now. I mean, it's only 2022. I mean, we just had the midterms. It's a signal.
It's a signal. They must assume that Trump is out. They must assume that they got him. With Kanye.
I mean, Trump's has some problems. I mean, the Trump organization got, not Trump personally, but the Trump organization lost the court case on tax fraud. I mean, a bad thing here, a bad thing there. Pretty soon, your potential candidacy goes up in flames. But I'm not going to count Trump out yet. I think he still has a shot. And one little word here, feel so bad for Iowa losing its position in the Democratic primary position, and New Hampshire as well. They're going to South Carolina, because that's where Biden made his recovery last time when they decided that the Iowa caucuses are no longer going to have.
What's the town in New Hampshire that always leads the nation?
Dixville Notch.
Dixville Knox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that gone? Is it going to be?
No, I mean they'll still get.
Is it going to be Dixieland Notch? No.
Their official ballot drop box in Dixville Notch is like about 1/18 of the size of the one that's right behind you right now.
It looks like one of those self-serve libraries.
I think they have the groundhog from Groundhog's Day stored in that as well. Then just send it over to Pennsylvania. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
Know some folks in our lives who we don't wish them ill will. They say crazy stuff. Uncle Joe.
Did I say that out loud?
They say crazy stuff. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. Uncle Joe.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And I mean, couldn't he have... did he have to say Uncle Joe? I mean,
maybe he's got an Uncle Joe we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, gosh, and he's so cool, Obama. With the crease of his pants and everything. He knows just the right word to say. And then why didn't he just say like Joe Biden? Or why didn't he say he could have said any other uncle. Uncle Sam, Uncle Fester. Speaking of which, remember you had recommended that show Wednesday on Netflix? It's about the Addams family. And you said you didn't know if it would have the legs or even the hand thing to go the whole series.
Yeah.
Barely made it through the first episode. I like you. I love
you couldn't take the first one?
I love Tim Burton's cinematography. It's altogether ooky. It's wonderful, but gosh, I just
didn't get into it.
The ghoulish puns and everything were telegraphed. Gomez Addams does look just like the Charles Addams, and is that and Morticia is played by
Catherine
Zeta-Jones, who looks rightfully embalmed. How old is she now? How old is Catherine Zeta-Jones?
She's got to be old enough to get Medicare.
Yeah, I mean, she was a young wife for Michael Douglas, wasn't she? So, but sure. She's got to be at least in her upper 60s, a little lower near the lake, maybe. Yeah. But
well, I'll say that I got up to episode 4, and I was like, oh, come on.
Spoiler alert. For those of you, what happened? Just tell me.
Yeah. Okay. Spoiler alert. Genocide. Okay. Here's this cute little thing about this, about a little girl with a dark sense of humor and special powers. And, right. She's in a town that's known for witch burning. And then to get
it's like Wednesday Addams from the Addams.
Yeah, Wednesday Addams. Yeah. And then you get up to episode 4, and here they round up all the Indians and put them in a house and set it on fire.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
I mean, that's not funny.
I know. It's like it's way too PC.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like the 1619 Project.
No, I can imagine Thing going, shaking his finger like this, that's not nice.
Yeah. What's the matter, Thing? Are you sad?
Yeah, really. I'm glad I gave up towards the end of episode 1.
Yeah, you did the right thing.
All right. Peter Ducey asked Joe Biden why he was going to Arizona, but refused to visit the border. And Biden said, because there's more important things going on. I just...
well, you don't know what that meant.
Well, you gotta go to Sedona. If you go to Arizona,
more important things going on. I need to be changed.
Look, I mean, there's so many good golf courses in the Scottsdale area that you got to play. Yeah, no, I
does he
totally
golf?
understand.
I've never seen him with a golf.
No, he's not.
I imagine he's golfed in the past, but I don't think
I've never heard of it with him.
Huh.
That was the saving grace for Obama. Everybody said, and everybody was trying to say, oh, look how often he golfs. And I kept saying, he should golf more. He should get away. Ronald Reagan took naps. Ronald Reagan, in fact, may have been demented, which would have been even better.
Did you ever see that video of Obama golfing?
No,
see, he was at a driving range and somebody had a camera.
Oh, okay.
Running behind him, and he posed that picture for those of you who are watching on TV. The picture that Chris just posted. It looks like he knows what he's doing with the golf club.
Sure.
No, when you see a video, he doesn't has no idea what he's doing.
Look, as a duffer myself, I've watched. I'm very serious about golf, so I can be sympathetic to anyone and anybody who even tries. And golf is very humiliating. It's humbling, and it will teach you that there aren't these quick fix solutions. There aren't democratic solutions to problems. You can't throw money at it. It's a very conservative game, and that
sometimes the rules of golf just have to be suspended when your opponent is cheating.
Trump is. John Daly, I think, was once on one of those talk shows, and I think he was talking about how much of a cheater Bill Clinton was. He was, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And
does that surprise you?
Trump takes a lot of mulligans too, apparently. I don't.
That depends on what your definition of water is.
Right. So, I've never heard of Obama cheating at golf, but I wish he had played more. I couldn't stand when it was a simple, easy line of attack against him that he's spending more time doing that than and the affairs of state, and I didn't want him to spend time on state business and abrogating the Constitution. Speaking of Clinton, Christine McVie died. I didn't even know which person she was, and what a rock and roll idiot I am. Which person she was. And of course, I've heard her sing many songs. I just didn't know that was.
I had no
Christine
idea
McVie.
I had no idea how many of those songs she wrote.
She wrote them.
That was a shock to me.
And she said unmistakable voice, and you know all these songs. I just didn't know who she was. When I worked for the Loop, my kids would say that I was a disgrace to classic rock and roll, and they were right. But
what I remember, because Fleetwood Mac was, when I was in my 20s, they were huge, and I remember the way the guys would discuss it is, there's a pretty girl in Fleetwood Mac, that's not Christine.
Okay. But the thing about Christine McVie, so she does "Don't Stop," right? And I'll never forget. I'm listening. For some reason, I was driving somewhere and listening to the coronation of Bill Clinton at the Democratic Convention in '92, and that song starts. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, they're appropriating that song. I don't like it that they're doing that. Plus, I always thought that it made me feel way too grown up. That these conventions should always have "Happy Days Are Here Again" or some song that from way before my time. And I didn't like Trump using what he used the Rolling Stones.
You can't always get what you want, which I thought was perfect. Because
there
were so many people that didn't want Trump,
right?
And they wanted the other candidates. It was a great come together song.
Well, and I love when the rock stars can't stand that their songs are being appropriated by politicians whom they vehemently disagree with. Christy Hynde and the Pretenders, "Take Me to the River," was Rush Limbaugh's theme, and you'd hear that like
Ohio.
No, what's it called?
Hey ho, way to go, Ohio. Yeah, it's Ohio.
No, Rush Limbaugh's
Take me to the Rivers, the Talking Heads.
Oh, it's talking. It's. Wait a minute now. Oh, geez, here I am in the disgrace to classic rock and roll. Which?
Hey ho, way to go, Ohio.
Okay, so that's not Chrissy Hynde and the Pretenders.
Yeah, that is.
But okay,
Take
whatever.
Me to the river.
Yeah,
that's David Byrne in Talking Heads.
Okay.
Rock me in the water.
All right. At least I got the Adlai Stevenson trivia right a little bit earlier.
but anyway, yeah. And then Chrissy Hines actually talked to her dad, and found out her dad liked Rush Limbaugh and got a kick out of hearing her music opening a show every day. So she backed off. And,
right.
And apparently Rush gave her a lot of money too.
He gave her money. Oh, is there the royalties for that?
A lot of
beyond
the royalties.
Rush Limbaugh for his. So this was over and above the royalties, which would be
it was like, hey, I took that song, I made it my own, and people can't hear it without.
So here's $5 million.
Yeah, so here's $5. Yeah. You can still get the royalties every time I play it, but here's here's.
That was nice of him.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about that Rush Limbaugh, for his 4th wedding, okay. He had Elton John perform. His wife wanted Elton John, and he paid Elton John $1 million to come. And and Elton John.
And you wonder how a fat old guy gets a girl like that.
A talent on loan from God, and I'm paying off Elton John right now. It was. He got Elton John to perform. That was.
I would have loved to see that meeting. It's like, no, I'm not going to play for Rush Limbaugh's wedding. How much do you want, Elton?
Exactly. Here's
a number. You tell me if it's okay.
Matter of fact, if you want, you could just hum Tiny Dancer, just a few bars from it. We'll take
Candle in the Wind. I thought that's what she wanted. That was the song she wanted.
She wanted Candle. Well, he did. It wasn't just one song. For $1 million, she got a few songs. I think. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, absolutely. You got to have, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. Yeah. I'll never forget Lynn Bramer, WXRT, plays Elton John Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. And after it's over, he back sells the song, and he just says, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. Elton John, tough guy. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
I'll assure you it is. Yay. Thank you so much for coming to Austin.
Thank you for having me.
Well, where would you like to start? This first little 5-minute segment is just kind of a prelude to what's coming up. What do you want to cover here today?
Just God runs the world, and Jesus is the way and the life. And it's time to put Jesus first in the way that we run our businesses, the way we run our families, our businesses, and the way we run our
Bruce
country.
Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And Tim, is that Alex Jones? Like, is he talking into like a real microphone, or is he allowed on the air anywhere, or podcasting, or where? InfoWars. I mean, he's got a real microphone. He even has a stand. I don't. But he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Are you sure it's a real microphone?
Yeah. So the guy owes like $3 trillion to the victims' families as a result of his libels. You'd think that they would be allowed, since he, of course, isn't ever going to be able to pay off any of this, that they'd be allowed to take some of the penalty in kind and just like take away his microphone. He should be forced to work in ditches somewhere.
Is that so? That's metaphorical. You don't mean to actually seize the electronic equipment.
I actually mean to literally take away the microphone. Okay. I mean,
but it looks to me like a cardboard cutout of a microphone. It does not look like a real microphone.
He doesn't. Was he actually interviewing, doing the interview with Kanye?
Yeah, but you look like you're holding that microphone too, and we know it's just the microphone on the computer.
Totally. I get, right. Speaking of
just a prop.
Speaking of disinformation, which we've been, I've been doing today because I confused Chrissy Hine and the Pretenders with David Byrne, I guess.
Well, I was even worse. I said that the election had to be overturned in Illinois, and that was wrong as well.
Okay.
It was already. Thompson had already won.
Yeah. So all I'm going to say is
challenged
that
it.
Jim Baker has labeled this Russian disinformation campaign, this entire podcast. So I'll be surprised if we even get to finish it out today.
Boy, you look up neck beard in the dictionary, and I think Alex Jones' picture's there. Look at that.
But is he still doing podcasting or radio or whatever?
I have no idea.
Okay, because if he is,
I've never listened to him.
Neither have I. But
was not a fan. It's my conspiracies only go so far.
Right. I mean, I'm a little bit chagrined to find that out. I thought you were going all the way. And according to our producer, Alex Jones still is being heard by people, and he should not. I mean, I wouldn't really be against having his tongue cut out. To tell you, yeah. Am I going to get a warning from YouTube about that? We'll talk about that later. So I know you don't follow football that much, but the key question regarding the Chicago Bears is not, well, will they win another game this year? They won't. They're going to finish 3-14. Everybody knows that they got a tough schedule to finish out the season. But you have to understand, there's two strata of white football fans. There's the liberal intelligentsia, which prides itself on being enlightened and looking down upon the conservative football fans. And
don't we call those soccer fans?
Apparently, yeah.
The rest of the world, that's what they call football.
Yeah. Well, so and it breaks down this way with regard to the Bears. See, Justin Fields is a rather unique talent. He's had 350+ yard runs for touchdowns this year, and I don't think anybody else has ever done an entire career, and he's done it in a few games, and so he's remarkable that way. However, some people, the conservative fans, say, well, he should be, in some sense at least attempt to be a classic pocket passer. And that is not some kind of double entendre right there. That is, he should just stand behind the center and stay in the pocket and have the whole field in his view, and he can throw passes there. And he risks being injured if he runs the football, and also it limits what can be done if he doesn't throw from the pocket. But the liberals, go ahead.
So what side are you?
Well, I'm of course a bigot. So here's the thing: the liberals say, so you're old school, you're bigoted, you don't like the idea of a black quarterback revolutionizing the game and being able to run around and score points and do it that way, and then the conservatives get all defensive and say, no, we're worried about him being injured. And there is something to be said for the fact that he did throw an interception at the end of the game that sealed the Bears' doom against the Green Bay Packers. And he did throw an interception in a prior game against the Lions. Now, of course, once he gets better receivers and he gets a little more experience, maybe he doesn't do that kind of thing. But yeah, I think the jury is still out on whether he can read the field as well as, I'm not an expert on this, I don't know, but it's like you're not even allowed to ask the question. Can he read the field from the pocket, and can he, can he get the best of both worlds, where he runs and gets his 50-yard touchdown and throws that nice pass up the middle, or the slant or whatever. I don't know all that nomenclatura, but
I had no idea that there were racial stereotypes attached to plays.
It's I'm telling you, you got to be careful. You got to be careful.
All I know about him is that his name looks like a punchline to a dad joke.
And what is that? Oh, Justin Fields. Okay.
Where does he throw where does he throw the interceptions?
Oh, yeah. All right. So anyway, I have a confession to make. I don't root for the Bears or any Chicago sports teams anymore. I kind of like it when they lose, and I really enjoyed the Packer victory the other day because the Bears, first of all, were in the lead, and it looked like they were going to finally avenge the terrible loss to the Packers last year when Aaron Rodgers said to the Soldier Field crowd, "I own you," and he still owns the Bears, even though he's got a bad thumb, and he was just tossing the ball up in the air and hoping to get a pass interference penalty, and he ultimately did, and then the Packers won the game, kind of going away. So I kind of got a kick out of that. I get a kick out of Chicago teams losing, and I don't know why that is. I feel guilty about it. And can someone please help me?
You're like a Sox fan now.
Well, I was a Sox fan, a big Sox fan.
That's why. The only thing that makes a Sox fan happier than the Sox winning is the Cubs losing.
Well, right. I mean, I understand that. I think it might have been partially an occupational hazard. You know, you get involved being a sportscaster, and you're rooting for yourself basically to have something interesting to say. You don't care about the teams and whether they win or lose. And that's a sad thing. I admit to that. An interesting phenomenon, though, is once the teams actually win, like when the Cubs finally did win the World Series, I was relieved and kind of happy for the fans. I like the fans. And I was relieved for the Blackhawks and the fans when they won their Stanley Cups. So I don't know, it's kind of weird, and I'm just wondering if you have a recommendation for a psychologist I can see or something, because I'd really like to become a fan again, and I don't think I'm ever going to get it back. I don't think. I mean, I think the Bears are actually going to be good in the next couple of years, and I'd like to be rooting for them, and I just don't see it.
Have you ever actually seen a game up in Green Bay?
Yes, I have.
A
couple of games
that didn't cure you from not rooting against the Packers.
I saw a game. The Bears, I believe, lost 40-3 that day, and Mark Shanowski, then of I think Channel 7, and if you know who Mark Shanowski is, probably on TV, local TV, was one of the blandest TV sportscasters you ever saw. When he was on like NBC Sports, the cable, and did Bulls broadcast, he was very informative. That was different. But just on the regular local news, he tried to make it as bland as possible. I was in a game with him, sat in the press box for 3 hours. The guy was making me laugh for 3 solid hours the way he was ripping the Bears. So I never was really that good. I was just willing to say it on the air, and a lot of these guys weren't. But I was in Green Bay for a couple of games, as I recall, and it was a great experience. But no, I just feel kind of guilty about the whole thing, and I'm sorry about that. And but at least I'm not as bad. And so I'll very quickly say this. You know how the University of Illinois got rid of Chief Alinowick? Well, sure. Apparently there's an online sports retailer that says the U of I is trying to have its cake and eat it too by publicly distancing the school from its former mascot while still semi-secretly maintaining a small underground licensing program to keep the school's control over the fictional Native American. So I think the University of Illinois speaketh with forked tongue. And yeah, there you go. And on that note, thank you, Jim Baker, for letting us continue to the end of this podcast. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap bonus segment. Ooh.
Wow. Yeah. Very special week.
What is that? What is a bonus?
I think
Chris, our producer, is going to tell us. Yeah,
you got a surprise for us.
Well, gentlemen, we had a couple of things happen the past week that I thought it'd be fun to just chat about on the side here. And that was, we were flagged by YouTube, and one episode was moved into adult-only content.
My goodness.
Wow.
Second, we got our report from Spotify, and I wanted to go over those.
Well, let me ask you this. Why were we moved into adult-only content?
See, as with everything, I turned it into a game.
Oh, there you go. Of course. Okay. All right.
So they picked a story, or they picked something from that broadcast, and decided that the people under 18 could not see it. Now I'm going to give you 3 stories from that episode, And I want
First of all, can I just say, as a threshold matter, I'm so glad that there's somebody actually flagging this, looking at this.
Yeah, I'm thrilled
You
that
know-
somebody's
you know, it's
actually
like-
watching this.
You don't do fantasy football, Tim. It's really weird. You do fantasy football, and they grade you on your performance each week, and it's like there's somebody who actually read, followed your game, but it's impossible because there would have to be like 10 million analysts out there. There's some kind of artificial intelligence that has to do this, and I can't believe an actual human being flagged us. I just don't believe that's possible. I think it was
when you get to the review phase, you get a human to look at it. So if you challenge it, which I did, then a human will look at it. I think it is AI that flags it to start with. Yes.
Okay. All right. And by the way, I'm not insulted by AI because IBM's Deep Blue beat some Russian once, Gary Kasparov, I believe.
Sure.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, Chris. Tell us. Let's make it a game.
I think he was cheating, though. I think the Deep Blue was cheating. I think.
He had those,
something about beads.
Yeah, he had beads. The Deep Blue.
Can I make a guess on what got flagged?
Wait, no, he had it in his hard drive. Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe this bonus segment about being flagged is going to be flagged. Okay, that's meta, man. All right, Chris.
So here are 3 stories that you get to choose from.
Okay.
Number 1. This had its own cold open with a video, and it was Matt Walsh had discovered at Vanderbilt that they were doing trans surgeries for profit, and it included an undercover video of a woman explaining that the hospital makes a ton of money off that. There's story number 1. Was it that? Was it a man with an axe threatens people at a McDonald's in New York? Or was it STDs are out of control, guess who's getting them?
Okay. See, here's the thing that bothers me about that. If I'm going to be flagged, I want it to be for like some kind of line that we came up with that really crossed, not the subject matter, which HAL 9000 found offensive.
I think we crossed the line. I think we crossed the line in 2 of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I remember some of the things where we went with the stories were pretty neutral, but then you and I started going back and forth, and we got kind of locker room.
I don't even remember the stories, but I'll say the axe.
Oh, really?
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm thinking it's A or C.
Okay.
And it's probably C. No, I take that back. A. I'm going with A.
Okay.
A.
Well, Bruce was correct.
Really?
and it was not because of something someone said. Have you ever had a tweet flagged or anything, Bruce, for something you said? You never got.
I have. I think I was suspended until I corrected or deleted a tweet, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, they force you to change it or delete it.
Yeah, and I did.
I posted a picture of Steven Tyler without his shirt on, and I got flagged for showing a woman's breasts. It's no joke.
All right. Hi-yo.
And if you recall, we also played that video as you guys talked about the man with the axe, and that was the
okay. All right.
The video itself. So they will not change it. That episode remains age restricted.
Adults only. Okay, and that's probably right. I think I agree with the censors. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it was. It was the video of the man with the axe going in, and how much of that video did you show?
We played it as you guys were talking, so there was probably a solid 25 seconds.
Oh wow! So it got pretty
and yet
graphic.
Anybody of any age can still watch Ed Ames throwing an axe and creating frontier bris on the Tonight Show. That's okay. Anybody can see that. That's wholesome entertainment. Go figure.
So
all right, how did we do on Spotify?
Spotify. So Spotify sends you they call it the yearly wrap, ironically, and they wrap what happens in the past.
I saw everybody.
There's more meta.
Yeah, I saw everybody, listing their top favorite podcasts according to Spotify and whatever. I'm going to guess that out of the 4 million podcasts in the United States, we ranked in the top 3,900,000.
You ranked way higher than you would have guessed.
Really?
Way higher than I would have guessed. But let's get.
No, is this in the Netherlands or here in the U.S.?
Well, let me go through these all real quickly.
Okay.
And it wasn't, and some of the things weren't just in the year. Some of them were all time. So let's start with the number one. What is the number one most listened to? Remember, these are only on Spotify, so it doesn't include YouTube and people.
Oh, sure, right.
Google Podcasts and people listening on Apple Podcasts, yada yada yada.
What is TV?
Yeah,
VPod TV.
Right. So what is the number one most watched or listened to podcast on Spotify that we produced? And this was, I'll give you a hint, it was over the course of both seasons. So it could be any of the ones we've done. Name a guest, name a topic, name something that it was happening.
Okay, it was the guest. It was that sexy tinfoil hat. You know, it was the Tim Slagle who's actually, you know, like this beautiful woman who has a show. I forgot her name. Remember?
Kara Castronova.
Yeah, was that it?
Yeah, she's on Newsmax. It was not that episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It is an episode with a guest.
Yeah. Mike North.
Not Mike North.
Okay. Paul Val. How many guesses do I get? I'm going to take Tim's guesses. Paul Vallis.
Paul Vallis, incorrect. Tim, you want one guess?
I'm forgetting all our guests.
Joan Esposito.
No. It was Arizona State Rep Mark Fincham.
Ah!
How about that?
That was going to be my sixth guess.
Anything with voter integrity always gets a lot of.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
See,
I got to buy into this vote fraud thing a little bit more.
It's Slagle's tin hats drawing the viewers.
This is a funny one because it's like, where's your number one country of most listened to? Of course, is the United States. But what's our number two?
The second.
It drops off from 99% to like there's a couple that listen in two other countries.
Other countries. I am going to say
what's our second country.
Our second country would be Prussia. Would that be it?
I'm guessing Ecuador.
Neither are correct. Go further south of the equator.
A little further south, Tierra del Fuego.
South Africa.
No. New Zealand.
Antarctica.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Really? Huh.
2 listeners in New Zealand.
Well, you know what?
Hi, shout out to our Kiwi friends.
Yeah. Do you remember the movie, the apocalyptic movie On the Beach, a black and white movie about a nuclear holocaust? And there's just a few survivors, and they're trying to find out, see if there are any other survivors in the world. And they hear this signal being broadcast or something, and they get out on a ship and travel the world trying to find this signal. And I'm just going to make this up right now, but it's like as far a place as New Zealand. They finally get there. Let's call it New Zealand. And they find that there's no people there. There was like a Coke bottle that was perpetually like attached to some string on, on some blinds for a window or something that kept going up, being blown by the wind and going up and down and hitting a telegraph key or something. So I'm going to say that's our listener is a Coke bottle in New Zealand. It's not a real listener.
We also have a listener in the Philippines. I don't know if you have family or friends there, but there's a listener in the Philippines.
Okay.
All right. Now they rate your average listener, and it's,
well, I actually have a cousin in the Philippines.
Oh, there you go.
I'm wondering if he's actually listening. It could be. All right, I'm going to find out.
Not as much as our Kiwi friends.
Oh.
So they rate your listeners, and they'll give you categories like your listeners are casual, or they listen to it at their convenience. This is the majority of the listeners. So if you thought, who listens to this show? Do they give a crap? Do they care enough to
right?
What would you guess? Yes, no, maybe. It's just they stumble on it, and listen to it, or whatever.
Oh, I'm thinking they're downloading as soon as you're putting it up there, Chris.
Yeah,
You are absolutely correct. They label them the enthusiasts. They're super fans. When the episode releases a new episode, they're the first to know. They go above and beyond to listen right away. Yes, so Tim, you are correct.
I'll tell you, it's just the enthusiasm level.
Got a tagline for the show now, Bruce, for the enthusiastic Kiwi.
Oh,
the most popular show for the enthusiastic Kiwi.
Oh, man. Have you ever been to New Zealand?
Never have.
Neither have I. But now I feel like I have been there, and
better than the old Zealand, though.
Oh yeah,
much cleaner.
Perhaps you should go and visit those two people that are listening.
I would seek them out.
Welcoming at the airport for you.
Right.
So our increases over the course of from 21 to 22, our listenership was up 360%. Now, obviously, you're building from just starting.
360%.
People clicking on being actual followers.
That's like from 3 to 11, isn't it?
Sure,
That's pretty good.
You can always when you say the numbers as percentages, Bruce, they sound much better.
No, that makes that's why WGN TV's morning show, beats everybody else in 25. What I like to call the 54 to 55-year-old target demographic by leaps and bounds. Sure, yeah, I get it.
And 218% of followers. That means people that click on it and make sure they know when it's happening.
Yeah. Wow.
That's great. And how close are we in the race for the Georgia Senate with the 105% of the vote in right now? Have we beaten the Libertarian candidate in the runoff?
Runoff is only 2 people.
So then 2 New Zealanders. Yeah. Okay.
They rank the podcast as it goes and how compared to other podcasts that the people are listening to.
Yes.
So for 50 people, we are in their top 10.
Okay.
So listening to 10 or 20 podcasts.
Wow.
We are in a top 5 for 38 fans. And we are the number 1 podcast for 12 people. Number 1.
Look, I mean, how many disciples had dinner with Jesus? I mean, come on. It's I don't need a quorum, it's fine. We're having fun.
Just that dozen. And
that's great.
What I rate is the most important number was of all we fall into the news entertainment category of all ones labeled news entertainment, we are in the top 84 percentile. And you say there's a million podcasts out there, which is absolutely right, but to even be in the top 80,
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. What can we do to improve this? Well, first of all, we have to have an election denier in addition to Tim on every week. That's for sure.
So now that Mark Fincham lost, maybe he's available to come on.
It's possible. I'm not sure what else. The only other thing I can think of is karaoke. So we might think about that.
No, Lake. Her last name was Lake.
Exactly.
So that is it, gentlemen. That's.
Thank you so much for all those interesting statistics.
Yeah, shout out to the enthusiastic Kiwis and the Dirty Dozen.
It was one of the most. It's got to be, according to my own Spotify list, in the top 10 of bonus segments that we've ever done. So, see you guys next time.
And that's the weekly wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The weekly wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production. Copyright 2022.